my name is Detlef. I'm an academic engineer working at the University of Stuttgart. Um, I have quite a story to tell you all. Although I do currently research in energy storage with X-Flow batteries all over Europe with an European program, but I had to promise the TED organization not to speak too scientific. So let's talk about something totally different. One of my strongest points, resolve. Resolve, the meaning of it. It's a firm determination to do something, to choose for something, to even believe something. That is what resolve is. It's not just solving something. It's really to firmly determine to go for something because you believe in it or you want to achieve it. It's according to what you want. I grew up as a child with these kind of heroes from the comics, Belgian comics. Jommeke, Kuifje, Suske Wiske. En français c'est Bob et Bobette et Tintin. As a child, I always wanted to be like, and having adventures, be like the little hero like they were. But I was actually more interested about their friends, the professors. So my goal in life, I really want to become a professor someday. Like these ones. Especially the middle one. That was a quite special one. Professor Gobelin. Professor Gobelin, he's professor in everything. That's not very realistic. It's also what I talk about. You can't do everything in life. You have to make choices in life. It's just not. You have to control yourself, make choices, and I think that is what makes us human: the ability to make decisions and to control. So when I started at the university, was in Belgium, University of Leuven, KU Leuven. I started with the first week like, oh yes, I want to be a professor someday. I have to get a bachelor, I get a master, I get a PhD, and then we'll see afterwards what will happen. That's where I'm right now. But when I started at the university there, I was a little bit shocked. I mean, the first semester, I was like, oh my God, this is so boring. It will be. I mean, it's not, most of the classes will be a lack of motivation. And that's the thing, you have to find the motivation yourself. I was almost a dropout because I had to take care of myself. I didn't have parents to support me or anything. I had to pay my own studies, had to pay my own room, had to pay my own food. And there was totally no motivation at such a university. In my opinion, it's totally different from high school. And same one of my best friends, Kevin, he did drop out within the first semester. And I said to him, oh, why do you do that? No, don't do that. He was not a stupid guy, not at all. He was quite smart, I assure you that. But he was firm. He was like, I want to do something with my hands. I want to become a gardener. I was like, gardener, come on, man. He's a pretty smart guy, but he became a gardener. 10 years later, today of today, he still is a gardener and he loves his job. For me, something changed. Let me start with how we became human. What that ability to control is not that easy. That's a chimp, that's a baby. I think you can see the difference quite well. Whether or not you want to agree with this, they're very alike. The difference in DNA is only a little bit more than 1%. This is a little bit scientific part, sorry. So the difference is in the gen of the DNA, which enables us to control the FOXP2 gen. They both have it, most mammals have it. Difference with humans is it's differently evolved. It's a difference of 2 amino acids. And this is what helps us to evolve and to have the ability to evolve intellectually, to develop speech. That is the potential behind us as humans. One of the things, of course. But you have to see it as a spectrum. There are chimps who can understand language, sign language, for example. Those are like the very smart ones, but they also thought to do that. Then you have the humans, and it's also in a spectrum. There are humans, and you can say they are disabled. It's because there is something maybe wrong in the gen there. But that doesn't make him more stupid at all. It just makes that their potential is different. Like a great philosopher said, Aristotle, you have the potential as a human to develop as a human being, But that doesn't mean that's actually like this. I have to say nowadays schools are doing a quite good job, and your parents and all, because it's because of them teaching you language, teaching you how to behave in society, things like that, that we have very, very little feral childs. Feral child, that is child like Tarzan, Mowgli in Jungle Book, or Romulus or Remus, the founders of Rome. Those were wild children raised by animals, not capable of speech, and they are humans, of course, but they were never developed like that because it was taken out of the actuality. It's because I think that schools is really doing a great job in this. But I do think that there needs to be a big change, a revolution in how they evaluate people. But that's not about that. Once you are educated well enough as a child in society, you can control yourself, and you have to determine to do things self in your life. You can teach yourself anything, basically anything. But there are three things that I want you to remember. It's like hobbies. I would say it's more like a job. You need something to keep yourself in shape. You need to do something to stay creative, like studying, and something to make money in the future. That's the thing that you have to focus on. I mean, I focus mostly on studying, and I'm lucky enough to make money out of that by doing research all over Europe. I'm currently at the University of Stuttgart. But I don't neglect that I'm a physical being. I mean, you saw the monkey and the baby are quite alike. We are physical beings. You need to keep your body healthy. Sport. You really need to sport. 4 times, 5 times a day. You need to study, keep your mind creative, keep going. And of course, you're living in a society, you need to make money. And that could be quite a lot sometimes. Some people choose for one or the other, but these are the basic things I think, in my opinion, you really have to focus on. And stay social, have friends, have family, things like that. And that tends maybe to be quite a lot. You only have 24 hours in a day. 24 hours minus the time you have to sleep, let's say 8 hours. You can push that to 6 hours. I mean, resolve to make more time for other things. But you only have 24 hours in a day. That's for everybody like that. It's a matter not of time management. It's a matter of balance, finding balances in your life. And how you can control and push that. Get out of your comfort zone. That's okay, do that. Get out of your comfort zone, do things that you normally don't do because you want to learn something new or you want to do something new, you want to achieve your goals. Get out of your comfort zone. And I assure you, these boundaries will change. It's boundary management. The things that you were able to do, for example, now, are not the things you were able to do 10 years ago. Obviously. And I want to break it down. This is the thing that you have to control in yourself. It's a matter of ability, willingness, and environment. Let me start with ability. You have the ability, once you've developed enough, to learn something. Basically anything. You can learn a new language, you take your books, you study, but you have to do it. Ability and skills are things that are acquired by working for them. But it's also, life is not really fair. That's just an ugly truth. For example, if you remember the lovely guy, Stephen Hawking, in his wheelchair, don't ask him to run a marathon. I mean, that would be quite harsh. But brilliant minds, but there are limitations maybe to your abilities. So realize themselves, what do you want to do? Can I do it? Is it possible? If it's hard, okay, work towards it. Make goals, make points in life, how you can get to something. Besides that, and I think this is the most important one, willingness, motivation. So, how far do you want to go to do something? What is your determination to achieve something in life? I mean, this is one of my personal strongest abilities. And my supervisors at the university sometimes hate it. When I put my mind on something, it's really hard to change it. But this also collaborates with other people. If you want to get anything done from anybody, you have to get to their motivation, their willingness. For example, you have a boss and he says, do this job for me. You will probably do it because you have to do it, it's your job, and you get money in return. But if you're not really motivated to do your job, are you gonna be doing a good job? Yes, no. Whatever you want from other people, see that you get to their motivation, willingness, collaborate. That is the strongest part. For me personally, I still want to become a professor someday, and my motivation is in here, in this little box. Now that can for anybody else that could be something different, but find that one thing that is very strong, very firm, that makes you motivated to move from one day to the other day for a long-term period. And the last thing, if you want to work on yourself, your environment. Let's say you've got an exam. Right? The exam periods are coming up for students. Get rid of your phone, get rid of your television, don't use it, don't think about it, and that's the hardest thing. You think about it. Like that phone is right there in the corner, you put it away, but it's still there in your mind. Try to avoid all these things. Get yourself in a comfortable environment or a discomfortable environment if you want to change your boundaries, depending on what your goals are. But it also means a mental state, not only the physical things around you. It's also a mental state. How can you be relaxed? How can you go from one day to the other day without stressing or going into a burnout? Because that's the thing maybe someday you have problems with. You can change this by changing your environment where you're working around in. Now, for me, I wanted to become an engineer, so I started university, engineering. I was surrounded by engineers, and that's also an environment. You're not going to become an engineer because of being within them, but it helps you. Your discussions are about topics like that, or you are surrounded by people with ideas, and you can discuss these kind of ideas. That's also an environment where you can put yourself in. Now, like Martin Luther King said, whatever you do, if you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But by all means, keep moving. I agree with this and I disagree with this one. Because it's a matter of what you are willing to do. I mean, how far do you want to go? I mean, for example, you only have 24 hours in a day. Are you willing to sacrifice, for example, 2 hours of sleep to get something done or work whole nights to pass for that exam? Normally, if you plan well enough, that should not be an issue. But you have to make choices in life sometimes. You want to learn so many things, you want to do so many things there. You have to make choices. And that's the difference between me and my best friend. He became a gardener. He has currently a house, a wife, a child. A second child is coming up, and he's very happy. And actually, that's one of the best choices he ever made in his life. For me, we were at the same time, but for me, I started to work for the University of Stuttgart. I'm a mechanical engineer, electrical engineer. I got my degree in business management. I know 5 languages. I have 4.5. We're still working on the 5th one. But I don't have a house. I don't have a wife currently yet. These are decisions you have to make. How far do you want to go in your life? What is your resolve? Thank you.